Hi, and welcome to Practice Thoughts with Chelsea. I am Chelsea. I am practicing my flute. I am a flutist, a flute teacher, and a mindset coach for musicians. And I just wanted to share a few things that come to mind that I think would be useful and things that I have seen that aren't really talked about all that often when it comes to practicing flute playing, mindset, and things like that. So know that this is a little bit niche, but also pretty fun. This is something that I don't think a lot of flutists think about, but it can be completely game-changing in your technique, because sometimes things feel differently to play and we have a set hand position and balance for all of those, and we think if we can just strike the right balance and keep it, then we will have good technique and figure it out. However, I think the balance of the instrument, especially depending on how you hold it, changes based on whatever technical passage you're trying to achieve. So I have a passage here in this piece, Steely Paws by Jennifer Higdon, that I am preparing for a recording session next week with my quartet. And I just wanted to mention this because it's something that I didn't think about until I was most of the way through my schooling, through my 10 years of music school. So I wanted to mention it here just in case it might be helpful. So in this passage, I noticed that my body was hesitating, and it's something that I always like to look out for. If my body doesn't feel comfortable, then I know I don't have the passage down yet. So this passage in particular, and I'll put it on the screen, it starts on a D, which has our pinky up, our right hand pinky up, and then we have to move to C sharp, C, B, B flat, and I have to use the 1-1 B flat for this. I guess I could use the lever B flat if I wanted to also, but this goes very fast and I feel like I'll have a better chance to do it with the 1-1 B flat. So that's what I've decided anyway. So the part that I was really struggling with was the B flat, G, A, B flat. And I feel like I was really balanced and I could move my fingers really intentionally. So what I would need to do for that is I am pressing a little bit more with my right hand, and I may be turning my hand a little bit more to the right to achieve that. Notice I'm not playing with the rockstraw method, and if you know what that is, and you turn your hands out and roll your head joint in, this might not apply to you. So take everything I say with a grain of salt, and also figure out what works for you. But since I don't play that way, I have my head joint lined up with the first key of my flute here. I need to make sure that my flute feels really balanced all the way through, and it feels really solid on my face, and that I'm pushing a little bit here and a little bit back here. And if I need to rebalance for certain technical passages, I need to be aware of that. So the balance of the instrument actually really matters. So I'm noticing that when I was practicing, and I didn't play the D before all the other notes, just that actually felt pretty easy, but as soon as I added the D onto that, it all of a sudden felt really weird and uncomfortable and unbalanced. And I think it's because for a D, I have to lift my pinky up, so I'm rotating my hand just slightly this way to do that, not necessarily having it rotated to the right and then picking it up like this, because my fingers move from the back of my hand, so they're not super rounded all the time. And I know some people play that way, and that's great too. Just offering my perspective in case it might be helpful. So if I add the D, either I can get used to playing that way, but then my pinky feels a little tense to press it down, or I can do this small slight rotation with my hand to sort of anchor for these notes there. And once I do that, my fingers and my hand feel really free to play evenly and in control. So this is just something to try, to explore, and to notice when your body is hesitating and it feels like it's not going very well. Is your balance off in your instrument? Does it feel like your flute's gonna fall? Why does it feel so uncomfortable? Noticing that these little shifts, maybe that we do consciously or unconsciously, they really matter, and to notice them gives you just more tools to pull from as you practice. I know this is just a really niche problem, but I think a lot of the times if our fingers are uneven and we just try to set the same for every single passage, that's not always doing the best service to ourselves. Maybe questioning, am I set up in a way that feels comfortable and solid? And how can that change throughout the technical passage?